afternoon, everyone, and welcome to my little corner of French country. First of all, I would like to show you the teapot that one of the viewers saw in my interview with French Connections and wanted to know how it worked. And basically, it's a tea light candle in the bottom of this heating unit, and then the teapot fits on top. And the secret to using this type of teapot is to always have liquid in it before you put it on your lighted base. Originally, when I bought it, I hoped that it would heat water for coffee. But if you've heard my interview, I was saddled for 3 months with cold water and instant coffee, which was nasty. However, this candle warmer does keep the pot warm if you actually start with a hot pot of tea. And I want to thank you so much for all of you for being here. This is the first time I have ever done anything like this, so we'll take it from there. But I've arranged the questions that you all were so kind to put in the post box into categories. And the first category is family and relationships. And many of you have asked if my kids have visited or anyone else from America. And the answer to that is no, not yet. A few of my shirt-tail cousins are aware of what I'm doing, but my children have absolutely no idea who the little old lady who could and did and does is, and that it's their mother. They would probably be shocked. But when they do discover it, I'm waiting to see the look on their face. All of the internet gurus tell you never to tell your friends or your family about your video log because you want the algorithm to discover you and who the algorithm thinks me or I or you would appeal to, and therefore they can push your content out. So I'm waiting for them to discover me. A couple of relatives have found me, but they are relatives who don't know my kids. So it's, again, going to be interesting. And you must forgive my kids, because when I was raising them, they would have told you that my middle name was Hard-Hearted Hannah. I was very hard on my kids. I demanded a lot of them and made them live up to it. They have all turned out very well. No thanks to me, of course. But they really did think I was crazy when I chose to do this. And I'm still alive and kicking, although not very high. And again, I'm waiting to see what they discover, the look on their face when they find out what I've been up to. Many of you asked about my journey and was I ever afraid of taking on this big move from Idaho to France? The answer to that is no. I was never afraid, not for 1 minute. A little bit unsure, yes, but only until I did my homework and then proceeded apace because I knew what I was doing. I had the help of my agent, French Connections, HCB, and my visa went through without a hitch. I purchased my property, which I had started to do before I contacted French Connections. But once I had my name on the deed and I bought my ticket to France and I was out the door. I only had 50,000 US dollars to work with, which at the time, I can't even remember the exchange rate at the time, whether it was more or less than it is now, but that wasn't much. But the house that I found for 23,000 euros is absolutely insane. It is 170 square meters of 3 floors. I have a 632 square meters of garden, way more than this old lady can handle. But let me tell you, if and when I can ever get it whipped into shape, with or without help, it will be the absolute jewel of this village. In studying about Charlemagne's garden and other people and monasteries and peoples who have worked with his plant list, no one is doing the plans that I plan to do. Most monastery gardens only have 20 to 30 of the herbs that are on the list. I plan to have all 70 of them, including the trees and the berries and the herbs, the medicinal herbs. I'm going to have such a ball. Was I afraid to do this? No, never. Again, my mother said I approached everything like I was killing snakes. And I usually leap before I thought. But this time, again, I didn't do that. I feel totally confident in the decisions that I've made. Yes, there's a lot to it, and I probably have bit off more than I can chew, but I'm going to enjoy the meal. If I ever get it done, this place will be a palace. It will not be, I won't have to pay taxes as much as a castle would, so I'm going to make out like a bandit again. The only thing that I really feel unsure of doing the renovations is to rebuild the stairwell. The rise on the steps themselves is so steep, and it goes around a corner. There are no railings. I don't understand how everybody that lived in this house didn't fall down and break their legs if they ever tried to go up or down fast, because it just is an impossible stairway. There are a couple of broken treads, which make it even more unsafe. But the fact that there are no railings, that is just, can you imagine in this day and age, a stairway that doesn't have a railing? And yet you'll notice if you've looked at some of the castle and renovation projects in France on YouTube, all of those old places didn't have railings. Sometimes a castle might have loops of rope between rings driven into the wall, but that certainly is not much safety should someone start to fall. I haven't actually asked for anyone to help me do the renovations yet. I did pay a neighbor to come and haul off the complete garage because it was just full of stuff. And the freezer case from the shop that used to be here in the front room, I had to have hauled away. But that's the only help that I've actually had here so far. And someone asked about workaway, which is where someone comes to live with you, and in exchange for board and room, they work in your garden or help with your renovations. Having grown up in the West of America, my privacy and, I don't want to say safety, because it's not that, but the idea of sharing my home with someone other than family, or for instance, as a room let out through as an Airbnb, I can't imagine having someone here under that capacity. So I'm going to say no, I'm not going to consider that right now. Should someone knock on my door and offer me credentials and references and some ideas of how they could help, having viewed my channel and realized what I want to do, I might consider it, or on someone else's recommendation. But until then, no. Creative and personal life. What is your favorite form of creative self-expression in the arts? And please tell us details about your crafts and creations. As you can see, the picture on the wall behind me is my Deerfield crewel embroidery. I have loved Jacobean style embroidery since I was like 20 years old. I never really did any of it. I did some silkscreen in college where I took Jacobean designs and cut them apart and put them back together in silkscreen paintings or prints like a kaleidoscope. But I never really worked with the needlework until 2019 when I did this particular piece. And it was part of a group correspondence course through the Embroiders Association of Canada. And I really, really enjoyed doing it. I absolutely fell in love with crewel work, and I've got several projects in process right now. I also plan to work on the castle to show. Oh, and let me tell you, if you've listened to the video about the tearing down of the castle, there's a map in there that talks about La Tirade, another castle that hasn't been torn down, and I found it. It's only about 1.5 miles away, and it is my absolute #1 spot to go and sit and absolutely just enjoy. You can't get to the castle, but you can sit behind it and look at it across the field, or as you're driving up to it from the front, there is a small spot where you can pull off and just drink in the view. But it is an absolutely gorgeous castle. And it looks very similar to the one that they tore down at La Bâtisse. So I'll be showing you a drive-by and a picnic lunch viewing the field with the castle in the background. I think you'll enjoy that. Future planning and practical concerns. Several of my viewers have been concerned about my welfare and what type of plans that I've made for end of life and medical concerns should I need it. To be honest with you, I haven't thought about it that much. I know it's necessary and it's something that I should get to right away. I just haven't done it yet. You'll be pleased to understand that I have an appointment with a physician in the middle of July. It's been difficult to get in to see a physician for a checkup, but Cheryl, the chatelaine in a castle down the road toward Limoges, has introduced me to her physician, and I'm going to go see her in the middle of July. I will be asking about help with my lipedema and that sort of thing, but I really am healthy as a horse. I mean, my grandfather died at 94, and that was because he'd had a stroke after having had a heart attack and all kinds of things. And his son came to talk to him, and he couldn't talk to his son. And he was so unhappy when his son was so unhappy with the situation that he walked out. My grandfather pulled the IVs out that night and was dead the next morning. So he didn't. I mean, it takes a lot to kill us. I'm not worried about dropping dead. I don't have high blood pressure. I don't have a high blood sugar. I do have lipedema, and it does limit my mobility, but I can still get up and walk and do things slowly. It takes a while, but you give me the right tools and good instructions, and I can pretty well do anything imaginable. I am planning to be buried here in the village when I kick the bucket. They're going to find me dead in the garden puttering around. I mean, I'm going to go out like a bang. I'm not going to just sit and wait for death to happen. I haven't thought about nursing homes. I don't want to go to a nursing home. I would much prefer to shelter in place and have live-in help. And I don't know whether that's available, so I will be looking into that. I have absolutely no plans to go back to America. Not only, it's a different place. When I grew up in the Boise Valley in Idaho, it was a very bucolic place. It's like the middle of France. It was beautiful. It is not that way anymore. There are so many people where I was living in the Boise Valley that it's it's like living in a huge city and not knowing where you're at. And I decided I couldn't live that way anymore. I'm I can drive from here to Busak, 8 kilometers away, and I'm practically the only car on the road. There are cows out in the field eating grass under the trees instead of being chained in a dairy barn until the day they drop and are turned into hamburger. I mean, who in the world would want to drink milk from a cow like that? No, I'm very happy to be here and have no desire to go back. The French government has the carte vitale, which is in essence the Medicare of America. And as far as I know and have heard from others, the medical care here in France, once you actually access it, is better than what we have had in America. So I'm not worried about it. I have been, when I had been here for 3 months, I had to go in for a tuberculosis screening and a medical exam to be allowed to apply for the carte vitale. And I didn't have any red flags or no TB, no hepatitis, no AIDS, no nothing. I was complete clean bill of health. So I really don't foresee any problems. There's no heart disease in my family. There is cancer, and I have had cancer in 2000 and had, 2002, and had surgery. So I'm a 22 plus year survivor of cancer. And if I can be that old and have these other things that are with me, I'm not worried about me. I'm doing okay. I guess I should stop and look at the chat and see what's going on here. And I want to thank my friend Don, who's here, the prodigal aquarist, who is working and helping me in the chat. I really appreciate it. People are here from Texas. Yes, good. There is a candle behind me. However, it is a one of those electronic candles, and I absolutely love it because it is very good to use in the background of a video when you're on screen, because it offers a little bit of background pizzazz without being really bright. And so I guess I should go this way. There you go. It's an automatic candle, and it's sitting in a glass dish. And actually, it's not morning where I am. It is 4:20 in the afternoon, so it's almost dinner time. There are people here from, Alabama, La Rochelle, French Quebec in Canada, Cincinnati, Ohio, Nashville, Tennessee. Oh, wow. I was born in Kentucky. One of you is asking why the French have moved away from traditional French homes and ways. I think it's like every place. You grow up on the farm or a small town, and all that time you are just chomping at the bit to get out and get away and go to the big city or have a different life. And you assume that it's going to be a better life. And after you actually go to the big city, or you go off to war and make it through and come back, or you go to school and then you can't get the job you want, or whatever, life happens. But you don't always get to go back and live where you have peace and safety and security. And in Proverbs, or one of the minor prophets in the Bible, God promises that people should live under their own vine and their own fig tree. And even though this village only has 622 people in it, many of the houses are joined to the house next door. Some of the places don't even have a garden, don't even have a back door. They only have the front door that opens onto the street. In fact, kitty corner across the street, there is a beautiful, on the inside house on the corner that used to be a bank many years ago. But there is no back door. There is no garden. There is only the front door that opens onto the alley and street. And they want 50,000 euros for that place. I wouldn't have it on a bet. It's got beautiful furniture. The lady who owned it, or the person who actually was the last one to live there, has owned several of the farms around here, because I have a Dutch friend who bought one of the farms. But that house, I wouldn't want to live like that. I would be wouldn't want to live like that. There's another house directly across the street, a big house, that does have a small garden and a garage, and it has a space in front that had a shop in the front room of its part too. So if you want to move to Cluniet and open up a shop, there is a beautiful, huge house right across the street, right next door to the bread store, that has a garden and a garage and space for a shop. There are no restaurants here in town other than the Tobacco, that does have a counter where you can go and have a beer or a coffee, or there are tables out in front where you can go and have coffee and a pastry. And the lady who runs it, Giselle, is marvelous. But the problems, there was a bar here in town. There was a couple of cafes, and the hotel was shut down because there is no fire escape. And I don't understand why you couldn't just build a new stairway out the back and go down to the outside and not have to worry about that. But for some reason, that didn't happen. But in France, if you sell a property or go bankrupt or close your business and somebody else comes along and wants to buy the business, they have to assume all of your debt and all of your non-licensure problems and everything like that before they can actually buy the property. And then on top of that, there would be renovation and resetting up a new business. So it's prohibitive. The French way of doing business seems not only foolish, but cost prohibitive in my eyes, but I'm not a businessman, so I have no idea. But there are opportunities all over France because many of the people thought that moving away, that they would have something better. But they need to come back. They need to be willing to live with less and be happy with a slower life and with less in their life. I think they would be happier. But again, they're not me, and they're not. Would I love to live in a castle? Absolutely, but only with a maid and someone to do all the work so that I could be a lady of leisure. And other than that, no, I don't want to be. I'm perfectly happy with what I have. Thank you. Let me look at some more of these. California. Oh, okay. There's a really good, don't let me forget to not do the announcement at the end. I've got some really exciting news. It's your house, your rules. Yes. That's what I told my kids. When you get old enough to make the gold, you can make your own rules. Until then, you do it my way. I have not been to the Boussac Chateau yet. I've only seen it from the outside every time I drive by. And I do know that the inside of the castle has the same floor I do, because I saw even the lady who owns the place walking across the floor, and she looked like she was going to stumble on the uneven paving stones, just like mine is. So I really am. I don't have to go see those places to enjoy them. But one of these days I will go, especially on a Thursday when there's a market, and I'll go through it and take a tour. And if they allow me to film, I will show you what I see in the castle. That is on the list eventually. I did not have to learn French. If you're over 65, that is not a requirement. And when I grew up in the 50s and learned how to read with phonics in the Dick and Jane book series, you had to say all of the letters in an English word except for silent E. And so when my brain gets, or my eyeballs get faced with French words that may have as many as 15 letters, but you only say 8 of them, my brain goes on tilt like a pinball machine. I cannot wrap my mind, let alone my tongue, around those words and get them to come out right. I just can't do it. Now I can say hello and goodbye and how are you and my name is and I live there and may I have that and I'll see you tomorrow. I can do all of that. I really don't need that much more to function. I would love to have the time to sit down and learn French, to actually speak it. I can read it, but I can't speak it. But you know what? I've had to answer so many comments from all of my viewers, and I have been so involved till 3 o'clock in the morning one night answering comments because I promised myself I would answer every single one. And there were thousands of them. I mean, what a problem to have, right? That interview with French Connections was an absolute godsend. It was absolutely amazing. Let's see. Oh, I'm smashing my first live. Well, thank you, ma'am. It's a lot easier than I thought it would be, but I didn't know how to turn it on at the end. I mean, it was, this old lady can eventually get to it with good instructions. Again, for those of you who are just coming in, my kids have absolutely no idea what I'm up to. When I was raising them, they would have told you my middle name was Hard-Hearted Hannah. I was very hard on my kids and made them toe the line when other parents did not make their kids do that. My kids had to. And they really thought I was crazy when I did what I did. And I think they were hurt too that I would be willing to get up and leave them, but they're grown. They're in their 40s and 50s now. They don't really need their mother anymore, thank goodness. But I would love to see my grandkids and my kids, and I have 2 great-grandchildren, a boy and a girl. And maybe I'll get famous enough being the little old lady who could and did and does that there would be enough money to go and take a luxurious 2-week vacation to America and see everybody. But until then, they probably will not come to see me if they come to France. They will probably go to the Loire and see the castles. My oldest daughter and her kids would probably enjoy doing that. I have no idea if my son, who's a deputy sheriff, or my other daughter, who no longer has any kids at home, whether she and her husband would want to come. But I would love to have the guest room upstairs fixed so that there would be somewhere really palatial to put them up, and then the kids could sleep in the attic on cots, right? Until I get that done. So I don't know. Again, I am waiting to see the look on their face when they discover what mom's been up to, because I was always a surprise to them all the way along anyway. So we'll see how it goes over. I have 3 children. My oldest is a girl. Her name is Maria Elena. She has 2 kids, September and Garrett. September is studying nuclear physics at Idaho State University, and Garrett is still in high school. My daughter Sarah has 3 sons. The oldest is a football coach in Oregon. The second one is a welder in Idaho, and he is married with 2 little kids, my great-grandchildren, Koa and Eliza. And she has a younger son who is in school, in college. And then my son has 2 boys. One has graduated from high school, and the other one is still in high school. And again, my son is a deputy sheriff. Both of my girls work in IT for Blue Cross of Idaho and work remote. So they are really blessed with that. And yes, you can drink coffee. Instead of tea, I guess maybe I should take a swig of mine, right? Well, thank you. I will do a new thumbnail just to see what happens. Thank you so much. There were some questions about when I first started this journey, I was using French-property.com as my way to find a house to live in France. And I went today and looked again, and they offer more housing for less than 50,000 euros than does Green Acres France, who is now a partner with French Connections HCB. However, Green Acres does offer also housing for sale under 50,000 euros, but their selection is not as much. I don't know why, but both of those companies are similar, I would describe them, to the way MLS works in America. Today, I typed in Cruise, which is the department that I live in here, which is like a state or a large county in America. And Cruise happens to be the second least populated department in France. And the reason for that is that when the mines closed and most of the men were used to working away during the winter, from March until November in Paris or other places, doing things like masonry and plastering and building, the men from this area were involved in building the beautiful white buildings in Paris and the seawall at La Rochelle and some of the bigger monumental stoneworks that have been done. And they just never came back. Anyway, but the least populated department in France is, oh boy, I can't think of it now. I want to say Laurence. Anyway, it's it's north of Marseille. But when I went to Green Acres and looked at the housing there, they had no housing for less than 50,000 euros. And it started at 75,000 euros and on up. And we're talking huge prices back. I mean, way up above €1 million. I couldn't believe it. But that department looks like Idaho. It's a lot of mountains with granite and stone and things that look like sagebrush and declivities, and it reminded me very much of Idaho. It looks dry and high. I noticed that living here in Cluniet, that I'm about 1,000, I would say 1,000 feet above sea level. And the air pressure, I noticed the air pressure here more so than I did when I was in Idaho, which was in Boise where it was 2,300 feet. And it was much, and then it was anywhere you went was up from there. into the mountains or into the high desert. So I notice the difference in the air pressure. The skies here in Cluniet are beautiful when they're blue, but often they are almost what I would describe as Midwestern American milky haze. Um, and I thought that because Cluniet is smack dab in the middle of France, and we get weather systems that come in from the Atlantic, up from the Mediterranean, or down from the north, that when we do get storms, they're storms. But someone was commenting recently, because of the heat wave we've had there this last week, that there is no air movement in the cruise because of the same thing, that unless there is a storm on the move from one of those three directions, that there is no real breeze or movement. And so everything just sort of swelters. And yes, I can say that that is the case this last week. And it has been very muggy, much like the Midwest in America. But I have not noticed that until just this last week. I did not notice that last summer or the first summer that I was here. And again, as far as weather here in the cruise, I've been here almost 2 years in August, and I've lived through 2 winters with no heat. And you want to know how I stay warm? I put boiling water in an empty jam jar, and I have 1 in each pocket and 3 at my feet, and I'm warm. And if I need to be warmer, I go to bed and put a blanket on and sit there and work on my computer on a lap desk or read a book, and I'm toasty. Even though there's no heat in this stone house. But you'll notice I have a shawl on because I'm sitting here and the sun is now beginning to come in from this direction. But I had the doors open, and so there was a breeze here in the house. And so it's just being an old lady, the back of your shoulders get a little bit cold. And so if you ever remember your grandmother or old aunt, they needed to have a shoulder sweater or shawl on their shoulders, and they always complained about that. I don't know whether it's because you get old or because you sit, or both, but you tend to feel it on the back of your shoulders. And so you'll notice little old ladies always have a shawl or something to stay warm. But literally, it would have been more comfortable to have heat in here. And I did have that beautiful white stove that I could have put fire in and been warm, but I neglected to get the chimney sweep in before the winter came. So legally, because of my insurance, I'm not allowed to burn the fire. If there was a problem, my insurance would not cover it without a yearly certification from a chimney sweep. So that's definitely on the books this fall, because I now have enough money to get the garage full of wood and get the chimney sweep in here. So I will be warm and toasty. Plus, I will be doing a lot of baking, thankfully, for change too. Okay, let's see what else we've got here. Let me tell you a little bit about my French reenacting. I love to show off. I may not look like it, but I love to show off when I can. And I knew how to cook to begin with. My grandmother and mother made sure that from the age of 8, I knew how to cook. And when I was 12, it was my responsibility to get a dinner for a family of 5, every night, 5 days a week. So by the time I was in high school, I knew pastry cooking, and I knew how to bake bread, and I knew how to make sausage, and I know how to cook anything. You give me a recipe and I can bake it. As long as I have the correct tools and pans or whatever, I can make anything. And so when I married my second husband, and he was a reenactor, you need to have something to do in camp. You just go crazy otherwise. And plus, one of the sayings that they said was, idle hands are the devil's workshop. So ladies either sat around cooking or doing some sort of needlework or hemming a garment or making something from scratch. They were always doing something. So I thought, well, I know how to cook. I'll learn how to cook French food. So I did. And it, when you pay anywhere from $6 to $15 a ticket to go through a museum or a fort and see what's going on in there, you expect to be entertained, and you want to see period correct food, uh, clothing, accoutrement, everything. You want to see that. So I had a ball collecting, and eBay France was my friend. I mean, I had some of the most incredible 18th century French real live stuff that I had shipped in from France to America to reenact with. Um, my kit was wonderful. I can't believe I didn't take a picture of it before I left. Anyway, I donated it to the local mountain man reenactors. They might know how to do something with some of it, but that's okay. They can enjoy it. I'm starting over. But yes, if you know how to cook around a fire with a Dutch oven, you can cook in a fireplace. You can cook everything from soft rice pudding to bread to stew to cassoulet. You can make noodles. You can make just everything and anything. And you learn how to do it by judging how many coals that you need to push up against the kettle or pile on the kettle or tuck under the kettle. And you can cook fast or slow. You 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 can really impress people by what you can pull out of your kettle, stuff that they just would never imagine. Um, so I really enjoyed that. So I really had fun putting together the booklet that I use as my email opt-in, my lead magnet. And some of you have gotten my From Hearth to Table guide, and I hope that you're enjoying it. I tried to put as much French into it as I could, and give you tips and tricks that have come from the chefs, Massiello and Mignon, through the centuries, because they do teach you how to stick your hand in an oven and know whether it's a quick oven or a slow oven by how hot or how high the hairs on the back of your arm raise as you stick it in the oven to test the fire, or how many coals that you need to bake with your Dutch oven in the fireplace. So I hope that it's been fun for you and enjoyable to practice it or to learn. Okay, let's see. No, I'm not monetized yet. Although this time I'm not going to make the mistake of deleting anything. I was invited into the YouTube partnership monetization program last week. And after 5 days, they told me that I was not accepted, even though I had 10,000 plus watch hours and now over 19,500 subscribers. There's something in the background stymieing the process. Somewhere along the line, I've been a blogger in the past and had Gmail in the past and had some other things, and there's something holding up the process. So I'm going to take a couple of days and just sit back, and I've got some instructions to sit down and patiently go through. And then you have to give it a few days after you make some changes to see what they're going to do about it. But I'm absolutely certain, God willing, that it will occur. It just is stuck on the second process part of becoming monetized. So good wishes, I would appreciate that. But yes, as far as the monetization requirements for watch hours and subscribers, I have far exceeded that. And so thank you, each and every one of you who are here and who have commented. And yes, I wore my fingers off answering, but you know what? the algorithm loved that, and it continues to go up. And there are almost 600,000 views on that interview with French Connections. Can you imagine? I mean, French Connections couldn't believe it either. Oh, it's just amazing. Uh, I had so much fun doing that interview. Lizzie from who was the interviewer, and Nora, you didn't see her, she was the photographer, but we had an absolute ball that afternoon. um, we really enjoyed ourselves, and they want to come back, of course, and I told them they were welcome anytime. I would be happy to sit down with them again. Oh, someone's had their first meeting with French Connections because of me. Yes. Did you tell them my name? Because if you told them my name, they will. I have an affiliate link with them. And you guys, I am having so much fun doing this. I can hardly believe it. Would you like to see a live at least once a month, or maybe even more often? And maybe sitting down and doing a live about one particular subject, and instead of doing a blog post, I mean a video, uh, that I actually sit down and present it like this. Let me know what you think, because as easy as this was to do today, which sort of like blew me out of the water at how easy it really was after having heard lots of horror stories, um, I would be happy. I would even do a live once a week if that is something that you think you would like. Okay, I see that everybody would love that. Okay, well, let's try every 2 weeks then to begin with, and we'll go from there. And again, I see a question about my kids. So someone who's come in recently, my kids have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. All of the gurus and mentors on YouTube tell you never to tell your friends or your family that you have a YouTube channel. The reason for that is so that whatever it is that you are doing uh, reaches people YouTube thinks would appreciate your content. And depending upon how they react and how long they stay with, and whether they binge watch on the content that you have produced, tells the algorithm to give you to even more people. But if friends and family just show up to see what you're doing and don't watch your videos all the way through, and don't comment and don't like, and go, oh well, the little old lady's crazy, she's doing something weird again, and go off about their business, that's not good for your channel. So I have not told my children what I'm doing. Now, because my grandfather was born in France below Mount Blanc, uh, the Blanc family cousins have all gotten together on Facebook, and so hundreds of us um, know of each other in Italy and in France and in America and Canada, and so we are in contact with each other. And my kids are on that forum, so I haven't even told that forum what I'm doing. But a couple of my shirt tail relations did discover me and knew it was me, and contacted me to let me know that they knew it was me. And I specifically asked them, I said, if you, and they live in the same town actually, or next town to my kids. And I said, please don't tell them if you happen to come across them at a family get together or whatever. I say, please don't tell them what I'm doing. And I told them why. But I said, I'm glad to know that a few relatives have found me. Makes me feel good. But no, my kids still think I'm crazy. Uh, my oldest daughter is the only one of the three that uh, would even consider coming on a visit to France. And then probably I would only be secondary. They would want to see the castles in the Loire. I would like to see the castles in the Loire, especially Villandry and Chaumont. But No, they don't know what I'm doing. I'm waiting to see the look on their face when they do discover it. And being an old lady who's going to kick the bucket eventually, I mean, my relatives lived till they were 90, so I've got 15 to 20 years to go yet. What happens to my YouTube channel, if and when I ever get monetized, is something to consider. So there is a really great YouTuber called Solo and Single, or Single and Solo, or something, Silver and Solo. And she has a couple of videos on how to leave your YouTube channel as a legacy. So that is the plan. And it'd be really sad if the kids didn't discover until I'd already kicked the bucket that, this legacy is for them, but so be it. But it would, again, I'm waiting to see the look on their face. It's going to be fun. Oh, I hope I didn't tell their names. I didn't give their last names. They have a last name that's different than mine. So y'all don't know what that name is. One of the questions I was asked was, how was I able to get a visa? Did I claim it because of relatives? And no, I didn't. Anybody in the world can buy a house in France. So I was in the world. I bought a house in France. So now I had an address that I could use to apply for a visa. At that point, I had no idea what to do from that point on. That was when French Connections HCB entered the process. And I did everything they told me to do. They helped me in everything I needed. I absolutely cannot recommend them highly enough. They are wonderful. They absolutely are wonderful. And now they offer renovations, they offer rentals, they offer houses for sale, they offer to buy your car. I mean, you pay them, of course, but they'll find you a car, the kind you want. They will help you with insurance. They will help you with car insurance. They will, I mean, they're like a major domo or maitre d' or Ask Jeeves, that famous British butler. I mean, they do everything for you. You just give them the money and the key, and they take care of it all. Yes, the visa is much easier. You have to have a you have to have an address in France in order to get a French visa. Whether that is an agreement with an Airbnb for 3 to 6 months worth of lodging, and you use their address, or whether you have arranged to rent a place, or you're going to be a student, or you're going to be living with someone who has an address in France, as in you're part of their extended family, like an aunt or a nephew or something like that, you must have some sort of French address in order to get a visa. So because I had actually purchased, I had entered into the contract to purchase a house already, I had an address already. So that didn't mess up my visa. Okay, a longer term rental. Again, so if that's the case, if it can't be an Airbnb, then French Connections can help you with that, because they have rentals all over the country. And when I used French-property.com, I did not tell them where I wanted to live. I gave them how much money I wanted to spend, had to have a stone floor or a tile floor, because I wanted to be able to burn wood and cook with wood in a fireplace. I didn't want to burn my house down. And it had to have a garden. Those were my only 3 criteria. And houses all over the country came up. And I chose a couple, and then I started looking at the regions that they were in. And the first house that I was really interested in was in Poitou-Charentes. It was gorgeous. It was a long farmhouse with another property attached to one side of it, but it was a big barn and a big house, and had a lot of property that came with it. And I loved that place, but it required more work than this one. So, and this house, no matter, every time I typed in my stuff, this one came up, came up, came up. And I thought it must be trying to tell me something. So once I really started looking at it and saw the garden and saw that it was smack dab in the middle of France and that it was the second least populated department, which meant not a crush of people. I didn't want a crush of people in my life ever again. So this place was perfect as far as I was concerned. Where do I sign? I couldn't pay them fast enough. No, they help. French Connections helps everybody, I would assume. Now, they're more familiar with Brits and with Americans because Richard, the head of the company, is British, but he was born in France and grew up in France. So, or maybe he's Scottish. Anyway, so having the British, helping British people come to France, helping Americans come to France. But I would assume that South Africans or Australians, or I can't imagine that they wouldn't be able to help anybody who comes. As long as you can qualify for a visa, you should be able to work with them, I would assume. And a lot of my viewers are older like me, and they've expressed they express admiration for me and my bravery. I'm not brave. I'm just willing. I always believe, and the older I get, the more I believe this. If you are well informed, if you know that you're informed and that you are making a good decision, you need to be able to look at the risk and determine whether you will be better off where you are or would be better off with the opportunity that if you got up and moved and went somewhere else. If you can go through all those hoops, it doesn't matter how old you are. Don't be afraid. Just do it. Learn, prepare, and then just jump. And if your kids think you're crazy, do it anyway. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for being here. It's been almost an hour, and I love you so much. I thank you so much. I am super glad that you enjoy what I'm doing. Oh, I'm going to get away without giving you the information. Okay, the big announcement is a benefactor has come forward and is willing to put in my garden, to put in my bathroom, and to repair the stairs. I don't want the stairs repaired. I want the stairwell rebuilt so that it has a shallower rise, that it is absolutely from the ground up safe for me or anybody else, because repairing the stairway is not the answer. But this benefactor is not willing to do that much. But they suggested that I start a GoFundMe. I don't know how to do that, but I will. I hate to ask for money, but I am willing to do so. If I can get a GoFundMe up and running to rebuild the stairwell completely, then they will do the work for me because I will have paid for it, and they will do it all together. And they plan to be here in August or September. So by the end of September, I should be able to have trees and bushes and things planted to go into the fall and for the spring. I never imagined, absolutely never imagined that something like this would happen. But I cannot tell you who the benefactor is until I meet with their representative sometime this next week. And then there will be an announcement about that. But I wanted you to know that that is in the offing. And I am so thankful to God and to the opportunity that you can you imagine YouTube, uh, the blessings if you just get in there and do it and post and just be honest and be share yourself and your dreams and do things. Thank you, benefactor. Thank you, followers. Thank you, everyone. And thank you for making this live one of the best experiences of my life. It was easy, I can't imagine. And thank you, Dawn, for helping to facilitate. I really appreciate it. And thank you, and have a wonderful day. A biento.